We live. The Dodgers won. The Dodgers freaking won. How about that? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That was such, I mean, like they say, it's huge. That is a huge, huge what? Come on. Come on, folks. Here we go. Here we go. We are live. All right. Um, well, let me see what's going on here, but I hope everyone's good. Probably everyone else going to some other channels, but yeah, whatever. Here we go. Hey, History Man 028, you Dodger fan. There you go. All right. Hey, nice to have you in, man. I know that everyone's going live, so it might just be you and me. Let's go, Oscar. Heck yeah, man. Can you freaking believe it? It's just unbelievable. I'm just doing a little bit of customization here, folks. Um, Getting everything going here. Oh, I didn't have a right thumbnail. What do you know? Or did I? I think I did. Um, I can't believe it. I mean, so here as you know, everyone was pissed off. Yeah, everyone's mad at Teo. I texted Mike and I go, "Hey Mike, man, if the Dodgers don't win this World Series and Teo's not a big player in it, he's gone." And I still believe that. But what did he do? He comes up and hits this thing. This thing. Oh my gosh. Let me make sure I send Mike the invite here. Um, Man, I'm just I don't know about y'all. Hey Richie, I'm gonna send you a link, dude. If you want to come in and just talk a little bit, keeping it clean, of course. I know because you are a good Christian man. Where are you, man? Where, Richard? Why am I not seeing you, Richie? Flores. Man, Rich, I swear you sent me your I swear I have your email. All right. Send it to Mike. Yeah, this is amazing. I just can't believe it. I just cannot believe it. Craig, what's up, man? Our closer, he did it. He did it. He absolutely did it. Yeah. Hey Mike, I sent it. Richie, pop me your email again on text. I'm trying to find it and I just can't. I'm not finding it. Oh, there we go. I found it. Let's see. The DeVore man. Reply. Links coming in hot. Got it, man. I got it, dude. Check your email. Come on in if you want. Let's have a little fun. Let's do a little celebration, right? No, where did my email? Wait a minute. Where'd it go? Did I lose? There it is. Thought I lost my show. All right. Surviving. I know. Norm, I swear, dude. Here we go. Here comes Mike. There we go. Yeah, gearing up. There he is. Celebratory Dr. Pepper vanilla cream, whatever. How you doing, man? Oh, no sound from you. Hold on. You got check your side. I see you. Let me do this. Try it again. I'm still not getting you. Let me just try some stuff here. Give me just a second.
Hello, hello.
There you are. There you are.
All right.
Hey, we might get Richie from DeVore coming in too, so watch out.
Nice. Let's do it.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
What a game.
I know I did I took a picture of my pulse because I watched sent it to Richie and And oh, he says nothing, huh? It's coming, dude. It'll be there. Just I'll make sure it gets sent here again. Sent. Yeah, you should. It says test on it, Richie. But yeah, it said 123 on the pulse, man.
Wow.
The funny thing is, I was on. Like I told you, I was on a family call.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
David, the younger, who's the huge Dodger fan, we're kind of going back and forth. Oh dang, while during the phone call, and it's whatever Skype, one of those thingies, right? And then I'm gonna actually see if David, the younger, wants to get in here, man. Let's see. Let's see. But just dang, man. I'm just feeling that one. Hey, living 900. Oh my gosh. Dude, Alex, what's up? Good to see good people coming in, man. Richie still got nothing. All right, I'll send him. Let me just send it to him with text here. See if he can get in here. Yeah, it's just time to celebrate a little bit. I mean, it's obviously a game changer.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I just can't believe it. And then Roki, oh my gosh. Doesn't it just look like he's ready to cry and crap his pants all at the same time when he gets out there?
He does.
Yeah, no name. I'm feeling you, man. I'm feeling you. The anxiety. Oh my gosh.
It was
It's a
just
lot.
a great game, you know?
Yeah. They didn't quit, and even when I was on the phone with my son, with both my kids, we're like, I said, it's not over. It's just not. This team, we just have to remember what they did last year.
I was getting a little concerned there.
Well, I'm still concerned. I mean, we still got a right fielder that can't right field.
Yes.
So Teo 3, Phillies 2 on he giveth and taketh away, as I was texting with my neighbor. But you know what? He did what he did. I mean, I just already told people, I texted you, hey man, if he don't do his thing during the postseason, he's gonna be traded. And
Yes.
I would still consider it, just we can't have him in left field next year. Home field advantage now. True, true, true. That's a nice thing. Now it's, I mean, that's just got to just put a dagger, that's got to hurt them, obviously. I mean, the Phillies, and
Yeah.
I just can't believe it. Yeah, I just kind of let's see if my man Alex wants to come in. Where is he at? New message. Oh, who's this? Who we got? Who we got? Who we got? Uh-oh, get ready. Hold on just a second for everything.
Hide your kids, hide your wife.
Let's
Okay,
go.
click on that.
Oh boy, Richie's famous now, man.
Yeah. Hey, well, I'm gonna need some serious the therapy, and this is only game one.
Oh,
I was so my therapy was that I had to work all day, and
that's a good
so I
thing.
had Mo and Steve Nelson on the radio, and I'm finding out that just listening to the game on the radio was so much less stressful than actually watching it on person. But anyway, so I drove down to my mom's house after work because we're having dinner here, and then I saw the last out, and then I saw that you went live. So, yeah, here I am. I got lots of thoughts here, lots of thoughts, but I digress. So what do you guys think? There's a lot of things that I liked. As I told you in a text earlier, at 1 minute I wanted to strangle T.O., and
Yeah.
then after that 3-run home run, I wanted to marry him. So there you go.
And that's that feeling, right? It was just that one. Well, it wasn't just that swing. It's the Hernandez brothers striking again.
Oh yeah, It's I'm in today's baseball world. We're into runs created plus and
Yep.
WAR and this and that. And I know those numbers are important, but I mean, I grew up watching MLB in the 1970s, in the 80s, and back in those days, it was all about guts and mental toughness. There was no such thing as war. There was no such things as all the numbers that everybody spits out today. There's only two numbers you worried about: batting average and what the final score was on the scoreboard, and that was it. But yeah, but Tio coming through. Roki was nasty. The glass now thing worked out great, and that was a gutsy win. I mean, that is postseason baseball at its essence. And again, we still got a couple more games to go, so
At
so
least.
strap in and go see your therapist.
So, Mike, you were also watching UFC, right? You were kind of double duty tonight.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's watching people get punched in the face and watching the Dodgers getting punched at the same time. The first few rounds. It's good. I understand. Otani had a lot on his plate. Tonight. Coming out pitching his first postseason game. And going out to bat. I was kind of hoping he at least get a single, a double, or something. You know, put the bat on the ball at least, and instead of striking out. Would he strike out 4 times? Tonight.
Something like that. Awful
Yeah.
doing it too. Yeah.
Freddie was. I thought he was going to carry the team. In the beginning because he's the only one that got a hit. It was good to see Alex Call. Get up there. And contribute. And then Mr. October, Kike Hernandez coming through and, getting that, scoring those runs. And then Teoscar, going out there and blasting one, into the seats and, giving us the lead. So, that was pretty awesome. You could tell the momentum had shifted there and it was a little bit stagnant after, I would say, probably the fourth or fifth inning. It seemed like it was like a stagnant baseball game there for a little bit until Teoscar came up there and opened it up. So, and then it was great to see Sasaki, just come in there and just dominate.
I'm hearing Mike twice, I think.
Yeah, somebody's got their.
Richard, you got yours on?
You said make it louder.
Sorry, mom's excited because I'm on and she had the volume up, so that was me. So I had her turn it down. Hey,
And the good
I
thing,
got a question for both of you guys.
we'll be here forever. She could watch it, man. It'll be great.
Well, look, at least I have the decency not to be doing this from my mom's kitchen like Kevin Skinner does. So, but okay. So here's a question for both of you. I mean, and tell me if I'm wrong, but this is just me. This is old school me. I honestly believe that this team is very battle tested, especially
Mhm.
going through this year. With the bullpen woes, and getting smacked around, a lot by all these fourth place teams in the division. And then going into the final week, we finally figured it out. And now that we left a lot of the weak arms off the roster, um, a, a a lot of people that pitched their way off the roster, and now we're thinking outside the box. And I
Yeah.
think the experience of battling the Padres last year
Mhm.
and going into Game 4, okay, at Petco in a hostile environment, and they figured out a way to get it done. And
With the
then, of
bullpen
course,
game.
right, exactly. And then after that, having that epic of a Game 5.
Mhm.
And then but once, and I feel this way a lot now, to where this is Padres Dodgers 2.0 for me this year. I think the path is the same. So having gone through all that experience, playing at also the playing at in New York, and having to do it with two and a half pitchers, I think that for this team, they've been there, done that, and this is just the environment that they're used to thriving in. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I was kind of thinking the same thing. Looking last year, that Padres Dodgers was a pivotal series for the Dodgers, and I think this series is almost identical. I totally agree with that. That this is a total identical series for the team, and if they make it past this, and they're definitely going to win the World Series back to back. Um, but I will kind of push back a little bit because, yeah, it's most of the guys are still there, but the bullpen guys' arms aren't there. So it's a little bit different for me. You know, um, I think the offense is going to have to carry the team through.
Mhm.
Glasnow came in, he pitched pretty well. I was talking to one of my buddies, and he was like going, "Oh yeah, last year, Glasnow didn't do very well in Philly because the crowd got to him pretty heavily, and he just didn't do it." So when he came in, I was just like going, "Oh my gosh!" But he ended up, doing okay, and then he got those walks, and the bases ended up getting loaded. And Vessia had to come in and finish it off, but it's going to be how Dave Roberts manages that bullpen this year. Bringing those guys in. You got starting pitchers that are coming in pitching like 1 or 2 innings out of the bullpen, which they're not used to, and
Right.
it's a totally different mindset and mentality for them, and the way that they warm up and get in there. I mean, you know, Tim and I've been to plenty of games to cover the team, and you could see them. We're there 5 hours before the game even starts, and they're out there working out and getting ready for the game,
Mm.
as a starter. And now they're like got like an inning to warm up. So that it kind of worries me a little bit,
Me too.
but I think they're going to pull through.
Yeah, speaking of that game 4, I pulled up the box score. Here's the Dodgers. Here's what they did last year. There's going to be names you go, "Hey, what? The starting pitcher of that game? Do you guys remember who it was without looking?"
And what, game 4
Game 4 last year.
of the against the Padres?
Yeah.
Who what? It was
It was Yamamoto, wasn't it?
No.
no, it was Jack Flaherty.
No, it
Oh,
was. This is the
Flaherty,
bullpen
that's
game. This is
right.
the bullpen. No. This is game 4. This is the bullpen game.
Oh,
This
no,
Oh,
I
was
don't
the
remember.
game
I don't remember who the
where
starter was.
I don't either.
before that game, Joe Davis talked to Dave Roberts, and Joe thought that might be the last time I interview him as a Dodgers manager. It was Ryan Brazier.
Ooh, oh yeah, yeah,
Can
yeah.
you believe that? So Brazier went 1.1, Bonda come in 0.2, Kopech went 1, Vessia 1.2, Evan Phillips, rest in peace to his elbow, 1.1. The old man Huddy, 1 inning, then Trinan, then Landon freaking Knack. The only
Yeah.
guy that didn't pitch in that one from the bullpen was Benny Caps.
Mm.
So, oh my gosh. And they won that game, probably at least 50% saved Dave Roberts' job, in
Yeah.
my opinion, and saved the legacy of this team.
Mhm.
The legacy of guys like Mookie Betts and Freddie and all that, and everything changed after that. So it all building up to answering Richie's question. This team is battle tested. They have
Mhm.
bounced back. And I don't know any other team that's in the playoffs that has now the pedigree and the history of doing that. So just as a group. Now there's players that have done it. That you go, "Hey, I know, Schwarber has hit some major home runs in his life. Harper has done it." You go look at, Belly with the
Mhm. Yep.
Yankees. He did it for us. Game 7 against the Braves or the Braves. So there's a lot of different players that have done it, but this team did it together,
Mhm.
and there's still, in a way, there's still a lot of these guys together. I mean, there's, you look at the lineup today. Let's see. Everyone that was on the starting lineup was in the starting lineup last year, except Benny
Mhm.
Rowe.
Yeah.
Then Will Smith came in. So you still have that's an amazing thing when you think about it, to have
And
that.
Alex Call.
That's right, Alex Call. That's right. You're right. I forgot about it. I was thinking Kike was in left, but man, Martinez at third. But no, but still, a lot of these guys are from the team last year. And then you start sprinkling in, Blake Snell, who we know has had some postseason success. Tyler Glasnow off and on, and I'm with you, Mike, on Glasnow. It was a little rough for him, but that first inning was key. He got through that,
Yeah.
and just kind of it was just different for him. I still wish that they would go, hey, we know we're going to pull Shohei, so we're going to warm up somebody, start, give him a half hour to do his thing. But so props to him. No damage done. Vesey came in, did what he needed to do. But it was very similar to, I think it was game 2 of the 2024 World Series against the Yankees when Vesey came in and that backup catcher hit it about to the same place. Pretty darn deep. It looked kind of like it had some juice on it. That Sosa guy I think he thought he got it. But you see that Bader is out for injury. I mean, these was taken out. These are things that are going to happen. Tommy Tanks is not 100%. We know that. I guess I want to say tomorrow. It's not tomorrow, but it's Monday. They got Luzardo against Blake Snell. I like our odds. Man, I like those odds. I put it this way. I would never bet against Blake Snell in a playoff game.
No, and I think tonight's win is a big confidence boost, especially for the offense. I think you see Otani, Betts, and Freeman actually, take charge on Monday and start really, getting the ball in play and scoring some runs. I think, I don't know. I always worry about this team. Even last year and the year before, it seems like on a travel day they always drop game 1. For some reason. So I was kind of like going, oh man, but I'm happy they got the win. This is a big even more of a confidence booster for them.
Mm.
And I actually think this is a big confidence boosters for like people like Tanner Scott, for Sweeney or Sheehan, in the bullpen going, hey man, we got to step our game up. We got guys coming out here, and I think we see Tanner Scott next on Monday.
Well, I'm surprised we didn't. Little concern here. Muncie's definitely not 100%. I think it's lower half of his body now. I mean, that dude's just a walking, talking, broken dude. Japan is watching. All right. Politicians comment in Japanese account on Twitter that always post Shohei home run highlights.
I'm sorry, Tim.
Go ahead, Richie. Go ahead, Richie.
So just to kind of like on top of the discussion earlier, how to make tonight possible, there was a lot of things that had to go right. The Vesia coming in, and Vesia is a wild card. But how many times have you seen Vesia in the postseason last year come in and then he just digs deep and then he just finds it and gets it done? But if you think back to where a lot of people were upset that we blew all those games against those last place teams and that we should have been the ones that had the layoff. But easy to say now, but in the back of my mind, because this is how I think, is that I was thinking maybe being the 3rd seed and maybe playing the Reds could be a blessing because they were coming into the postseason playing very well. Offense was clicking. We figured out the pitching. We discovered that Roki could be a weapon out of the bullpen, as we saw tonight.
2026 Rookie of the Year.
That's right.
I got and notice the hat.
I like the hat.
It's Doug's hat, yeah.
and by doing so, we bought that extra day and set up the rotation because had we had not won that game,
oh gosh,
okay, it would have been a different story. So that was a blessing. And number 2, think about it. No game on Sunday. We get that extra day's rest, and that's going to help out a lot of guys, particularly Mad Max and Tommy Tanks. And then you go into Monday. Glass now through today. He doesn't throw till Thursday, so he'll still be on normal rest.
Yep.
And all we had to do was steal one in Philly.
Yeah.
Okay. And so now that sets the tail. So now we have home field advantage. So like it's just like what Branch Rickey always used to say, that luck is a residue of design. So we have to take this win and essentially take advantage, because that schedule for this DS couldn't have been drawn up any better if Andrew Freeman did it himself. And now we have taken that opportunity, and now I think, and I know that I'm just kind of basically just kind of spitballing here, but if we can take tonight and everything that we've accomplished so far, this sets the table to where I kind of think the ball's in our court right now, going into Monday. I think.
Oh,
Oh,
definitely.
yeah.
Hey, Tim,
Yeah.
Tim, real quick, I just want to just give
Yeah. Can you say it in
um,
Japanese?
Kayla Cutie Cake a shout out who's in our chat because I have been updating her almost every game because she is so nervous to watch it, and I send her updates all the time. So thank you so much for coming in here.
That's awesome. Well, and and that we thank you for coming in for sure. And that's the thing. The momentum matters. Setting up the pitching mattered. I mean, yeah, that game changed everything because if they would have had to go Otani game 3, they would have been starting Glasnow today because Snell would not have been ready.
Absolutely.
So that changed the world for them. And so now you go, all right, now don't blow it. They just and hey, let's be honest. It was said earlier. There's Shohei, Mookie, and Freddie are going to hit.
Yes.
It's coming, and I think it does happen in game 2.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a chance to really do some good stuff. Phillies are really good. We know that. But they're not 100% either. Trey Turner's, what'd they say? He was at 25 feet per second with his sprint speed because he's playing it. He has to be careful.
And their third baseman was hurt too. He just came
Yeah.
off the injured list too.
Yeah, and Bader's hurt, and we got for our side we got Muncy that's hurt. Obviously, Will Smith, Tommy Edman. These happen, and it's just, hey, how does that depth? How does it play?
Oh, yeah.
Norm, the 7th and 8th inning is going to give us a heart attack. This is just well, the 7th inning wasn't bad. I mean, Tyler was pretty good with that one. I was a little, I wouldn't have gone with him, but then again, I'm not. They haven't given me the call to ask my opinion, so I'm a little concerned.
I'm still waiting on that call too. I haven't gotten the email.
I know it's crazy, but that's why Richie and I'll call each other. But they went with something different. And I one of the tweets I did put out, and I really believe we're following the Washington Nationals 2019 pattern. You go with it doesn't matter who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I said something this morning, and I really believe it now. The season was a 162 game rehearsal, tryout, whatever you want to call it, for this. And that's why you see all the changes. That's why you go, oh, Tanner Scott didn't close today. It was Roki Sasaki. Oh, Kike Hernandez plays every day. I mean, things change because you go, no one went out there and said and stole that thing because Michael Conforto had the opportunities of a lifetime. He could have easily gone out and taken that and made it easy to go Conforto and left. And he's been off the roster 2 times now.
Yeah.
So,
I don't see him coming back to the roster at all, for the remainder of the season.
I think it depends on matchups. I think I could see it, but he's got to. The only way they do it is if he's going to play because he's not going to be a reserve. They'd rather have Justin Dean.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't see him.
Yeah,
in there, especially with Alex Call and what he did today. Probably gave him a little bit more of a boost, and be able to, saying, yeah, I'm here. I deserve to be here, and the team is putting a lot of trust in me, even though his performance, wasn't the greatest, at least he got that, that little bit of a hit and got on base, and gave a little spark to the offense,
right.
Which the Dodgers didn't capitalize on very well. But
an underrated thing about Alex Call, he played the last few years in Washington facing more of these Phillies guys than the rest of the guys have. So he's probably got a little bit of extra info. Yeah. That's true. Good pitching does muzzle good hitting. They're going to have to do it. But I think we will see there. So if Mookie Betts strikes out not Mookie Betts. Shohei Ohtani strikes out 4 times on Monday, there will be a big giveaway. Because it ain't happening. That was just a, I think Shohei got a little shook up, obviously, by the second inning. And it was a weird thing. I mean, it started with a walk. That, don't walk people, especially. Alex Bohm, I know he's batting fourth. He ain't no 4-hitter. He's not. He's batting 7th or 8th on the Dodgers. But they walked him, and then stupid that long-haired hippie comes up and with his stringy, dirty hair gets a hit, and then the Teo show. So and I think he got a little shook up. I would think so, and I think it impacted him the rest of the game.
I think his stuff. He kind of knew. After the first inning, how he was throwing. Quite a few balls. His command was off, and he knew. He made some good adjustments after the second inning, and dialed it in, and and came up clutch. He sat down. After that second inning, 9 straight batters right after that.
Absolutely.
And he was able to, dial it in and, and get his off-speed stuff going and his curveball going once again. And, but man, I mean, that Phillies pitcher, I forget his name, man. He was nasty tonight.
Yeah.
He's definitely not the same guy who, the Dodgers faced. And that's the way that the postseason is. You can take all the stats, in the regular season and throw them out the window because everybody's stepping their game up a little bit more. And and they're a little bit more fired up and a little bit more focused, than the regular season. And they're bringing their A game every single game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what's great about the postseason? This is the charm and the romance of it.
Mm-hmm.
But in a perfect world, Alex Call is in spring training in the Grapefruit League. And if you were to tell him that in October he'd be starting in game 1 of the NLDS for the Los Angeles Dodgers, he would probably just look at you and say, you're nuts.
Right.
Yeah.
Or just like Benny R, that Benny R is down in Florida, with the Rays. He's on the 40-man roster and he's hanging on to that 40th spot. And now here he is starting in game 1. And so let's be honest. I mean, he's kind of a folk heel right now. I mean, he's kind of like last year's, that Honeywell. The only difference is he's behind the plate. But oh yeah, I mean, it's just so much fun to see the Alex Calls of the world.
Absolutely.
And also the Benny R's of the world. And not only they're just not happy to be there; they're there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And when Benny Rowe is done behind the plate, I mean, it just and this will be the last point on this, and we'll move on. But I forget who we were playing, but it was the last homestand. Oh, it was in Arizona, and I think it was Romo. Okay, I think he bat flipped on a home run or a ball 4. Okay, which was just kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever. I'm not a fan of that stuff. I'm old school.
neither.
But but then Benny R got up and got in his grill and told him to F and run. And that's all I needed to see from. I said, okay, that's it. I'm sold on this kid.
Yeah. I'm with. Yeah. I and like you said, and it's from the movie, right? How can you not be romantic about baseball? I mean, it is a special game. In which, who knows who's going to be it. I mean, I still remember in 1988, Mickey Hatcher. I mean, if Oral Hershiser doesn't do his thing, Mickey Hatcher is actually the MVP of that World Series.
Dang,
If
man,
Mike
you're going
Davis
way
doesn't
back.
steal the second base, that home run from, I mean, we would have never seen that home run from Kirk Gibson.
Yeah,
It would have never been dramatic.
And that's
It
all
would have
Mike
been a
Davis.
tying home run and not a go-ahead home run.
That's all Mike Davis did all year.
Yeah, that was the only thing he
was
did that
signed.
year.
He was signed to be a pretty big guy, and he was terrible. I'm trying to pull up. Is anyone? I'm just trying to pull up the Mariners and make sure volume off on that. I'm just checking that one out.
Oh, the score of the Mariners?
Yeah, what are we at? 2-1 Detroit. I want the Mariners to win. Ooh, they already got Caleb Ferguson in there. Okay.
I think the Yankees won, didn't they?
No, they got smoked.
No, they got
Did they?
smoked.
Okay.
Yeah, it was what, 10-1 or something like that?
Oh.
Yeah,
And
then
speaking of smoked, oh my God, the Brewers just jumped all over the Cubbies in that first inning, and it was all over.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was a little surprising.
Well, the Cubs, they did have that they had to empty the bullets, and in that series, and now I'm looking at the Cubs. I had said whoever wins the Padres Cubs thing would beat the Brewers. So the Brewers at least have some health. The Cubs, they lost that one pitcher, their rookie guy. I can't remember his name. Their starting pitching is two guys. Matthew Boyd is kind of a guy that he hasn't been good since the All-Star break. And then you have a guy like who they have. They have the Tyone, who was good in his game. And then I can't remember who pitched game two. Oh, Imanaga. So I don't know. I mean, the Brewers put the bat on the ball. They did possibly lose though Jackson Churios. He might be out because he pulled a muscle.
Yeah.
Trying to leg out his third hit in 2 innings. Kind of amazing what he did. The Mariners just biffed one. Oh, didn't matter. It could be that we see the Brewers again. I don't know. We're gonna see some. We're gonna see we might not see anybody. Dodgers still got to go do it.
We still got some work to do. Hey, here's a question for both of you. You think Thompson left Sanchez in too long? What do you guys think? I got thoughts on that, but I like to hear your guys'
I didn't
thoughts on
think
this.
I wasn't really thinking about that. What I was thinking about, to be honest, David Robertson. I never wanted that guy on the Dodgers because of what we saw. I just don't think he's that good. And so please bring in David Robertson every freaking game. Even there was a game that, remember, during a couple weeks ago when the Dodgers played them, he almost gave up the lead to the Dodgers. He almost Dodger bullpen the Dodgers. So I think they have some weak spots in their bullpen. The Orion guy, he's not bad. And then, of course, what's his name was good today? Duran. And Strom, you just never know. I thought he was better, but I don't know. So I'm trying to think, because some of that with Sanchez was because my son and I were, we were on. I was on the phone with my kids and stuff, so I kind of lost track a little bit. How far did Sanchez go?
He went,
was it 5? Was it 5?
He went 5.
Yeah,
that's it.
5.2 with 8 Ks.
Let me look at that real quick. Sorry about that. Yeah, I was some of the. We're describing our trip to London with the boys. So,
and he was at 94 pitches. When they pulled him.
because early on in that game, that slider was just eating everybody alive. He had a good slider going tonight.
Oh yeah. He was. I think he pitched one of his better games. All season long.
So it's that, according to Norm, we might have a kind of a there might not be an advantage at the middle of the bullpen. And good. And but I do think there is some momentum though. The momentum we got from Vesia when he relieved Sheehan and got that out, even though it's kind of and he walked the guy after that. But then Trinan came in, Roki came in, did their thing. Today, Glasnow wasn't horrible, but he did kind of start walking dudes a bit and like, And then Vesia came in and again did his thing. Roki did his thing. So hopefully there's some momentum. I always go back to 2023. The Dodger bullpen was brutally bad. For some reason, Ryan Brazier comes in and helps makes everyone better. The bullpen became a lot better when Ryan Brazier came in. And then in 2024, they were bad again. Vesia had been pretty good most of the year, but everyone else kind of sucked. And then Kopech came in, and then everyone else got better again. So it was kind of a mix. And then, getting some health back. I think Trinan still has been trying to come back. Last year he had injuries. That's just the way Trinan. He's 37. And what was it in 2024? He remember he took that line drive off his ribs in spring training against, I can't remember, maybe A's, but in some ways that saves them, saves their arms.
And this bullpen got used pretty heavily, the first half of the season, so they're not, coming in completely fresh and, and ready to go. And I know that's kind of a poor excuse, for them, because they're professional ball players and they need to be coming in here and, getting the job done. But I kind of give them a little bit of slack, in regards to you win the World Series, you have a short spring training, and then you're traveling over to Japan, and then you come back for the Freeway Series right after that, and then you start the regular season, and then there's starting pitchers that are hurt and they can't go more than 4 innings, and they just get blasted, in the very beginning, and so I kind of cut them a little bit of slack, in regards to that. But, pitchers like Tanner Scott, Blake Triton is used to this. I was kind of a little bit surprised, on him a lot more than I am on Tanner Scott, because he's been in these situations with the Dodgers for many years now, and he knows how to, dig himself out of it, and so I
Hey,
think they're going to come up pretty good.
hey, do you guys think, with Trinan, that I've been very encouraged with what I've seen the last two outings. He's kind of, looking like himself, and it's coming at the right time.
Yep.
But do we have to walk on eggshells with Tanner Scott? Because I think a lot of his issues aren't a mechanical thing. I just think that he's been so traumatized by bad luck or just not making a good pitch. And I'll be fair with him because I've been a heavy critic of his, but there have been some quality pitches that, I mean, the guy just
I know.
that the guy went down, and just
Crazy.
hit, or just like what Mookie says, the other guys drive nice cars too, but still, I get a little concerned when he's telling Christian Watson that baseball hates me right now. I'm just going like, yikes. So I mean, I'm kind of hoping maybe this will give him new life. I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like, with him, we're trying to drive a toaster through a car wash. It's just really going to
Mhm.
be a delicate balance with him.
I think though that I may have talked about it this morning. I don't know. Now everything's in a fog. But with Scott, don't if you the worst thing they could do with him is go, you're that ninth inning guy. Can't
Yeah.
do that. He's not that guy. He's the guy that you go, um, it's the sixth inning. We got a couple run lead, and here comes Schwarber and Harper. That's when you bring him in because that's what he's really good at.
Mhm.
And you work him with you got to get the pitch mix down because we've seen these things where it's like, okay, one game he throws 20 pitches and 15 to 17 of them are fastballs and the rest are and the other 3 or 5 are sliders. Then it's the opposite in another game. There was one he had like 18 sliders and three
Mhm.
fastballs. What is going on? Who's calling the pitch? Well, the problem is at the end of the day, Tanner Scott's calling the pitches. Do not let him call those pitches. That's got a call from the bench. That's what Danny Lehman and all those guys are there for, not for some guy who's got an ERA of 4.8. He shouldn't be shaking anybody off.
Yeah.
He's got to go take those pitches because the Dodgers, I know you love the laptop, Richie, but they actually know what they're doing when it's pitch calling. And especially with a guy who struggles and he's only got 2 pitches. So if he's sitting there leaning and shaking off on one pitch to rely on another, he can't do that. He cannot have shake off at all. I think it's a
No, he's the last guy in the world, and this is where I agree with you. I'm not a fan of the laptop, but in the same time, uh, I used to love what Joe Gaggiola used to say when he was doing those World Series game with Vin, is that poor pitch selection or poor game planning on what on. I mean, just a bad pitch selection. You guessed wrong. Have sent more have driven out the so many pitchers out of the game than opposing bats. So yeah, I agree with you there.
yeah,
And
and I thought that they would have put Tanner Scott in instead of like Emmett Sheehan, and that's what I would have done. Just to get, but I know what they're trying to do. Test a couple things. They were trying to test. They had a choice. We test Tanner Scott in an easy situation, or we would trust Emmett Sheehan or work with him because they're going, hey, can he come in as a bullpen guy? I think I'd like to see the Sheehan. Let's put it this way: Emmett Sheehan, if he goes into the bullpen and he's got everything kind of going right, like he is as a starter, you get a couple more miles an hour velocity. He's gonna be nasty.
Yeah.
So
I think, in regards to Tanner Scott, I personally, I have a little bit more faith in him right now, because that bullpen, that locker room right now is full of confidence, and that's infectious. So that's gonna rub off on him, and I think his attitude is going to change, especially, after what I saw his interview with Christian after they won, and after they won against the Reds, and then we're moving on. Just his attitude was complete. Oh no, it was with Doug. With Doug's interview, you could see, how he changed in the way that his interviews were, because he's not all salty and he's not all
And that was an excellent
like
point
real
because I think
defensive.
that was the first time that I've ever seen a smile on his face.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And so I think again, success is a state of mind, the mental toughness and how your demeanor is everything.
Oh yeah.
Um
except Rocky's.
except Roki.
I can see. It looks like he's gonna cry. I mean,
Roki looks like the Roki kind of looks like, okay, you got an algebra test today and oh, I didn't study for that, but he's still. You know what though? But maybe this though. Okay, well think of it this way. You know what's Roki? Maybe he's so naive to the situation that he's in that that being that is kind of a blessing too, to where hey, I'm just gonna go out there and I'm just gonna throw strikes and I don't care if I'm facing Schwarber, Babe Ruth, or Hank Aaron. I'm just gonna do me and let it fly whenever it happens. So, but what I love about Roki is that he pitches with no fear and he pitches with a lot of conviction and he's got this attitude like, okay, I'm going to throw you my splitter. Here it is. And if you can hit it, God bless you.
yeah,
I've seen
yeah.
him, and I think Stella, who's in here, because she's from Japan, and I'm pretty sure she's seen Roki pitch. His facial impressions aren't any different than what they were in the NPB.
Mm, okay.
So, I mean, it's kind of, from the games that I've watched of him pitching in the MPB, it's not any different, for me, where he looks like he's about ready to pass out,
Yeah.
and you can see him heavy breathing, you know, granted, when he first came in to close out the game, the last series, yeah, he's nervous. Anybody's going to be nervous,
Yeah.
coming in there, having that pressure on you, and you're going to be breathing pretty heavily. But his facial impressions and everything else, the way that he gets fired up is almost identical than what he was, when he was pitching in Japan.
Okay. Well, and it's got to be, in terms of confidence, it's been talked about, but just the fact that, and there's some good points here, just the fact that he knows he has his stuff back. He has his A game. All of a sudden, that guy that was the number one prospect for everybody, at least that would do that, that we're ranking him. It's because of the stuff that they'd seen before. Not the stuff from 2024. It was the stuff from 2023, 2022. It was and now he has that back, and he's able to just go, "Hey, I just got an inning, and I got some of the best. I got some of the best. He has some of the best stuff in the world.
I'm
And he knows
actually
it now.
I'm actually a little surprised, on how well he's doing, coming out of the bullpen, and how he's embraced that, and is able to just come in there and throw his stuff out there. His splitter, his fastball is crazy. So
Yeah, and he came in with a lot of hype. There was a lot of stuff going on, all that competition, and then the fact that he started the season without his best stuff. It was clear
Mhm.
that he was, and then he's probably compensating, trying to get his best stuff. And I said it earlier, go Dodger Blue has a really good interview with Rob Hill where they talk about Rookie. So highly recommend after we're done here, if you haven't looked at it, go take a look. It's our boy Jeff doing amazing work again. Why can't I remember his last name? It's not Snyder, the other one. Come on, Richie, help me.
Spiegel,
Spiegel.
who hates cheese on everything.
He hates cheese on everything?
He doesn't like cheese.
No.
Wow.
And his other question is with yeah, him and Blake Williams always get into the conversation is a hot dog really a sandwich? Hey, can you imagine? Can you imagine? I mean, again, I have a lot of time on my hands at work, so these are all the crazy things that go over my head. But imagine, can you imagine? Okay, two things with Roki. Okay, is that can you imagine if he signed with the Padres or if he signed with them? Because
Well, but he
that the
had Manny Machado as his leader, though.
man, okay, okay, okay. Well, this isn't the Saturday show with Clint, so I'm going to keep my vocabulary at the Disney level. But okay, but can you imagine that? How many people were upset, from down in your neck of the woods?
Mhm.
And then I'm thinking to myself, but you would have put that kid into a situation where he was going to be your next Jake Peavy, and he wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
I think him struggling in the beginning and then being sent to OKC for the most of the year was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to him because we didn't need him this year. He's not,
Mm.
he doesn't have to be the man today. He doesn't have to be the man this year. So he worked down at Camelback Ranch. You know, he went in, that he went down there. They worked out the kinks because the Dodgers can't afford to do that. They have
Right.
the luxury of doing that. And that could have been the best thing for him. And now that he's most likely going to be, has to be, and will be the back end of the bullpen, no matter how far we go, and hopefully to the end.
Mhm.
Okay, this is a great springboard. I mean, that's probably the best thing that could have ever happened to him.
It is. Well,
It-
so Richie, the guy that's above you and to the right was the one guy that said a lot of this stuff at the very beginning. Mike was on this the whole time because he's watched him more than probably the rest of us and
Mhm.
knew that. And I think, Mike, you weren't even thinking he was going to come back this year at all. I wasn't sure because I just don't know enough. But, it's very, there was a lot of expectations on this guy. The Padres, he was supposed to be, their new ace. And like Mike said earlier, you just said it. This is one of those things where he just had to come in. Now, it was kind of interesting because for a while he was really needed because for a while our freaking pitching staff was, I think it was Dustin May,
Mhm.
Roki, Yamamoto, and then there was like Clayton started to come back. We had some other guys that just weren't that good in our rotation. It was like a 5-man rotation, and it just wasn't very. I can't remember who the other guy was, but it just wasn't very good. But now, so there was a lot of pressure on him to be that guy. And then the first mistake that they made with Roki and with Yamamoto was what Yam was the Friday starter, Sasaki was the Saturday starter, and that started to work, especially for Yam. But even for Sasaki, then as soon as they did that, it kind of broke Yamamoto for a little bit, and that's when Sasaki got hurt too. So
Mhm.
you know,
Well, he was always hurt.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, because just not 100, just never there,
Yeah.
and now he's there.
Personally, I never thought that he was going to the Padres. I always thought that he was coming to the Dodgers.
Mm.
Just what they did on their scouting and how many times Andrew Friedman had been to Japan. He's a good salesman, and I just think that he would be able to go in there and sell it. all the rumors that were going around, before he signed, that him and Yamamoto were, this and that, that they were,
Well,
Yamamoto
maybe
knew,
Darvish were boyfriend girlfriend or something.
Yamamoto knew him, but Darvish was, the mentor to for him, and then he came in here, with the expectations of high expectations, from the Dodger fans, from the organization. And,
Mhm.
he came in here broken. I said it, right when he first signed. He needs to go to Oklahoma and start there and
Mhm.
figure things out, get himself worked out, get whatever arm injury, because in the MPB, they never disclosed, the true portion of what his arm injury was.
Yeah.
Didn't know if it was the shoulder, it was the bicep, it was the forearm, what portion of the arm, that was all messed up, and he ended up having some oblique injury also,
Yeah.
while he was here, that nobody knew about, that he was trying to figure out, and then once he got it all figured out, and, you know, the Dodgers, pitching staff in Oklahoma is very good. They can take a pitcher and write them very well, and they worked with him and worked with him and worked with him and got his confidence back and got different exercises for him and had different treatment for him, and next thing you know, he's throwing 100, 101 in Oklahoma his last game,
Yeah.
coming out of the bullpen, and it's just like, boom, okay, there he is right there.
I remember Twitter when that happened. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
He's doing what? And everyone's kind of probably going watching the, turning on the game and all that type of stuff. So that was the game changer. And
Mhm.
that the
I
so
just think
yeah,
I
go ahead.
didn't mean to interrupt you, Tim. I just think if they would have started him out in the minors in the very beginning, you would see him out as a starter right now instead of coming out of the bullpen.
Do you think, again, I'm putting my tinfoil hat on. This is a question for both of you.
I
Do
love it.
you think that Manford got involved after they signed him because they were playing at the Tokyo Dome? You think MLB got involved and kind of whispered in the Dodgers' ears said, "Hey, for marketing purposes, I really, really would like to see this kid throw in Tokyo for the Tokyo series." I'm just putting on my tin hat here.
I'm gonna. So I'm a fan of the tinfoil hat. So let me tell you, um, the Dodgers, that was an unforced error. They did not need to pitch him. I do think there was something in there with a little bit of pressure, maybe, or just like, hey, we want to do this, and kind of looking at it. Let's be honest. The Jet, and I hated the Jet. I hate those travel games because first of all, it kills our spring training, and second
Yes.
of all, it's bad for the team in a lot of ways. However, it was so good for baseball to see, 3 of the 4 starting pitchers in that series were Japanese, and Roki was really he had a rough one. And Mike brought it up earlier. The Dodgers literally had a 4.5-month offseason between real games, and that's absurd. It's usually 6 months or maybe 5 months if you go all the way, but 4.5 months, while, the Yankees didn't have to do that. So fortunately, this year they're not going to be do that. Um, let's see. Dodgers have Nando's in the house. Dodgers have starters as relievers and closers. What a cheat code! Yeah, like it's the 2019 Nationals. They're just going for it. They're going, hey, we're doing what we got to do. Because I think Doc did want to use Glasnow the whole way.
I
That's just my guess.
I think, in regards to your question, I I don't think so. I think it's more of a, we got, you know, 3 individuals that are on our team, that were big names in Japan,
Mhm.
and out of respect to all the fans and the people that are paying money to come in there to see, that they were going to pitch them no matter what. Yamamoto was going no matter what, because they got
Oh,
to deliver a product. When you're going to things like that, the way that I view it is you're going there for entertainment,
mhm.
more than anything. And MLB wanted to show, along with the Dodgers organization, saying, yes, we picked up 3 people from the NPB, got 1 from a trade, the other 2 we picked up straight out of there. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Here you go. That's the way I saw it.
Well, no, they didn't get a trade. None of them came in trade.
Ohtani. Oh, well,
No, he's a
Ohtani's
free agent. Yeah, he was a free agent also.
free agency. But
They
he didn't
should have
originally
traded him to the Dodgers. They really
Yeah.
blew that. Let's be honest. Ryan
Yeah,
Fallout said it. He wanted that move. They could have had the frickin' farm, but they didn't do that. So
yeah.
Oh, now you wanted them to go with Kershaw instead of Glasnow. That would have been interesting. I'm not ready for that. I tell you, if Kershaw does nothing, doesn't pick up the ball in the postseason, and the Dodgers win the World Series, I'll be perfectly happy. I just don't want him to do bad. It would just suck. But,
And
I think he'll get his chances to do something for sure.
And I kind of agree a little bit with what Norm's saying that's there, but and Stella can actually kind of, not really back me up on it, but can comment on this also, with her being from Japan. Sasaki didn't leave Japan and come to the Dodgers on a very good. Um, it wasn't all flowers coming over here. I mean, the press, the fans were a little mad at him, for leaving early and wanting to leave early, and come over here. So I don't know if the PR firm and all that, was a big thing for them pushing for that. But yeah, he didn't get a whole bunch of flowers from Japan, when he left.
I remember that. I do remember that now. Yeah,
So was that
he wasn't one of the big. Yeah, he wasn't. He doesn't have the love of Ohtani for sure, and not even Yamamoto.
now was that a business decision on his part? Because for being such a young man, it coming over to a new culture, a new country, the game's different, ball's different, having to learn a whole new language. I understand he's getting a little better, as time goes on, but just to have somebody that young and then coming overseas and to be signing with one of the most iconic franchises in MLB and with all the fanfare and all the glitz and the glitter that goes with it. Um, that was kind of a geez. That's kind of a ballsy move on his part.
Well, he wanted to come over the year before.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right. I remember that. Oh gosh, yeah, that got some good extra clicks on the extra views on the on the machine here on the internet machine.
He was pushing the year before, and then the following year, he made the big push, to go after it, and he actually made it happen. So
Ballsy is the word. I mean, that's for sure because it's going to cost him some money in some ways. Because once he hit if he would have waited till he's 25, he was a free agent, without that international signing stuff going on.
yeah, I mean the Buffaloes lost a lot of money on that, a lot of money.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, because they get a percentage.
Yeah, they get 25%.
Ooh, yeah.
Now, had he had waited till he's 25, that well, does the because I'm not quite sure how this works, Mike, but had he come over and followed in that Otani's footsteps and came over at 25, does that change the posting fee? Does that mean that his ball club that back in Japan would have gotten more money? I mean, how does that work exactly?
Yeah, when you go out and you do if I remember right, it's a full 5 years, with the club that you're with, and then you can come out and get posted, the following year after your fifth season's over. Then your sixth season is when you get posted. Um, the organization that picks up the player like Yamamoto, um, he signed for $325 million. His club ended up getting 25% of that.
Yeah. Yeah, big time versus the,
And so when you have somebody like Sasaki, who's like, everybody was saying who's much better than Yamamoto, which I didn't really agree with, personally. his expected was going to be Yamamoto money, coming straight out, and so the Buffaloes were going to lose. They were going to lose out on quite a bit of money, so that's why they didn't really. They weren't really happy with him in the beginning. During the offseason. I don't want to get into like a whole big old thing about it,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's they lost out on a lot of money.
And for him, the risk was, of course, well, there's two sides to the risk. One is you stay with Japan, and and Mike was one of the first to talk about it. He's already hurt. He was already kind of hurt. And some people say, there's things, he's due Tommy John. Who knows? So if he would have done that and stayed in Japan versus coming here and dealing with it and dealing with one of the best organizations, because if you're a pitcher, you're looking to sign with the Dodgers, you're looking to sign with the Indians, Guardians, and I hate them, but the Astros, these guys develop pitchers really well.
Mm-hmm.
So you go to a team like that because they're the top of the top of the top. They're the best in the world at fixing pitchers, developing pitchers, and so that might be one of the reasons that I see that he came here. The Padres have gotten better at developing. I wish that their pitching coach would leave because he seems to be the only guy holding that team together. Someone should go give him a lot of money, like I don't know, or someone like that, or even the Dodgers. Heck, we can use another guy. There's never enough. As we see at spring training, there's never enough coaches in the Dodger training camp. That's for sure. It's like one player, 5 coaches. They're all over the place. But he wanted something different, and I do think it was the Dodgers the whole way. The Padres tried, but they were in third place with that one, right? And then it was the Jays, and the Jays lost that one. And Nando, you might be right. But I still believe. Yeah, that's the guy. Him, that dude, Carlos. I want him. Another guy, just add him. But he's really good. He's brought some stuff in there, and the Padres have gotten better at developing pitchers. Let's be honest about that. They take these no-name guys that are released, like Estrada or someone like that, and they make them pretty good, except against the Dodgers. But they do a good job of building their staff.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be honest, they need to fire AJ Preller. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know how to build a team.
Well, he gave away 10 of the top prospects, and they wound up getting bounced in the wild card.
Sweet music to my ears, man.
Oh, hey, keep Schulte and to keep AJ. I mean, for me, the Mike Schultz is the middle of a road manager, to be honest with you, and probably the biggest fake tough guy there is in baseball, anyway.
Well, and he made some good decisions. I thought when he he brought in Morhoney early, that was a good decision. But there's nothing that I go, oh, everyone wants to play for that guy who never played even minor league baseball. I think it's kind of like our hitting coach. It played low college baseball.
Mm-hmm.
I still think there's an issue there. I want JD Martinez next year or someone like that. Chase Utley, whatever. There's a lot of guys out there. I want a hitting coach that's been there, done that. You can have your assistants. That's why I like the way Pryor works. If you guys remember, that dude was flipping good for like he was really good before he got hurt. So he's been there, done that. But the other guys, hey, Rob Hill, Connor McGinnis, and all that, hey, they were just college guys. You're born with only so much talent, but they were not there. They weren't been there, done that. And so I like to have my guy, one of my hitting coaches that's been there, done that. So there's 26 guys on the roster. 26 of those guys have their own hitting coaches. They don't need technique. They need someone to talk to. Just to like Mookie, right? Mookie goes to visit JD Martinez and all of a sudden comes back better. JD knows what he's doing. Remember, JD is one of those guys that did bring himself back with using some of those nerdy guys, including Von Skoyak. But
Andy worked with Mookie this year to get his swing back.
Yeah, Mookie goes and visits JD and becomes good again.
Mm-hmm.
So JD is a savant, and I think he's done. That dude was really good. He had a heck of a career. It's definitely a Hall of Very Good. He's not a Hall of Famer, but he's a Hall of Very Good. I'll take that. Man, you say, hey, and remember, he sucked. The Astros got rid of him, and he went to the Tigers, and he went through. It's Wallenbach, Craig Wallenbach. He went through that guy. Von Scoyoc worked with him, went through all that type of stuff, and got good all of a sudden, and then made a lot of money when he signed with the Red Sox. The dude's been there, done that. Now, I don't think he wants to leave Miami, but I think you somehow get him on a contract.
Yeah.
You go, hey, can you just be our Mookie listener, or could you come talk to Pajes or someone like that? I don't know.
So what are we looking at for Monday? What do you think's going to happen?
We're looking at Blake Snell. I really love it. I do. And I'm not. So I'm going to just remove Yamamoto from the conversation because I think he's just better than everyone else in the postseason. But if it wasn't for Yamamoto, Blake Snell's my ace in the postseason. I think he's so freaking good.
Mm-hmm.
Norm mentioned it. So I thought they at least fired their manager, but the Mets fired everybody. And I'm surprised they kept their manager.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
I think the only guy they kept, because I was listening to Why I'm a Mets Fan, the podcast.
oh boy.
Well, actually,
That's
that
a
is
good name.
two girls that are sportscasters in Syracuse, and they do a pretty good job. And they were surprised that I think they only kept the first base coach, but they fired everybody else.
Yeah, crazy.
I think that going back in the chat though, that Norm had brought up a good thing on Monday. He said dagger opportunity on Monday for the Dodgers, and he also mentions that the Phillies will be desperate, and the Dodgers definitely that need to fight that energy. I mean, match it.
Yep.
You
Well,
know, so what are your thoughts going into Game 2 on top of Norm's chat there? And so I mean, so how? So when it comes to Clayton, how do you use them, and when it is appropriate to use them moving forward? And so thoughts on Game 2?
well, the Clayton thing, I'll answer that first. If the game goes south, from very early, bring in Clayton. He will at least keep them in the game. I think in some ways he could fill the Honeywell role, but actually he's good. He's not. I'm a little concerned about his stuff in the playoffs, but the thing about it, like I want to differentiate though 2023 and now. 2023, it looked like the way he pitched, he still thought he was 2017 Kershaw, but he didn't. He was throwing 88, 89. Now he knows what he is. Now you see him trying to throws that the splitter sometimes even.
Mm-hmm.
So you see that he's adjusted. So I think he knows how to pitch better within himself. So I feel better about him pitching. And but I still, it's like one of those things. I mean, he did have that one good inning against the Diamondbacks. I think I was asleep though. I was asleep because I was in London. But yeah. But in terms of you talk about the dagger, I think Blake Snell is that dagger.
Yep. I'd agree with that.
I would hate to be in the Phillies position right now. They put themselves in a bad spot.
I think Blake Snell's got a fire underneath him right now. He sees it. He's going, I was here once before, and I was pitching a good game, and my coach came in and removed me too soon, and I have something to prove.
Yeah. Yeah, I exactly. He has he came here for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he got plenty of offers. But man, for him to come to remember that was quick. That was really quick when he came in. And he just, I think he wanted it. Andrew Friedman knows him. I think there's been a maturity with him. I guess he's got another baby now. So Blake Snell's probably only spending about 4 hours a night on the video games instead of 10. But he wants it bad. And I love that that thing about him. And like I said, he's been there, done that. He does feel, and I do believe he was robbed of glory.
Mm-hmm.
And fortunately, he was.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, I'll take that. This is a good point right here, though. Glasnow was supposed to go 2. Dave had to improvise. Didn't want to burn Vesia. Only needed 3 pitches, fortunately. Exactly. So no burning of Vesia. He's fine. He's Vesia. His stuff does like it was like 91, 92 today. But at least he's been there and done that. He's gotten past, like a lot of these guys. He's gotten past that thing of being sucky in the playoffs. He's going, no, I can do this. I've done it. I have the confidence to do it. My team behind me is confident. My managers believes in me. The fans even still believe in me a lot more than they did like in 2023 or beginning of 2024. We just look here, DFA, yeah.
So, how far do you stick with Snell? Obviously, it's going to be batter to batter. But if you were king for a day, Mike, what would be your game plan coming out of the bullpen? I mean, so what do you got lined up if you are in? I mean, going into game 2, my mindset is, I can't waste. If I'm Dave Roberts, I can't waste this golden opportunity to drop the hammer and go back to Dodger Stadium up 2-0. I mean, you're always hoping for a split, and that's the gold standard. But if you got Snell on the mound, and you know that you got Roki in your back pocket, you just need to navigate those last 6-9 outs. So what's both your thoughts going into game 2?
I think Snell's going to go at least 7. I'm not going to be surprised, if he finished 7 strong, going into the 8th inning. Uh, and I agree with God, who was it? I think it was Norm. You know, he can come out there and he can shove all he wants, and keep the game close and have like a 2-run lead. This Dodgers offense needs to put some runs in behind him.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not going to be putting any runs behind him and giving him run support, then it's going to be a struggle for him. On Monday. But I think he goes definitely a full 7 innings. And I just see it, and being down on the field with him, a few times, just looking at his mentality, the way that he prepares, and how he goes about his game. He's just got something different this year that I've seen in the past. And it's kind of like what I've already said before. He's got some type of purpose, for himself, and I think he's got something to prove. And I'm, Tim knows, I'm the biggest Yamamoto fan that there was. Um, he's kind of like, in my book, if he comes out and shoves, on Monday, I mean, I may be putting Snell up above Yamamoto right now.
He's right there. So just as a good note here, so Snell pitched on Tuesday, right, against the Reds. Comes back on Monday. He's got a good 6-day rest. 110 pitches, Blake, get ready. Here you go. Because then after that, he won't pitch the rest of this series. His next start would be 7 days away.
Mm-hmm.
So Blake Snell, empty the tank. I would I just trust his stuff. I mean, so let's be honest, he's gonna walk a couple guys, and that's okay. I don't want him to be perfect, because when he tries to be too perfect, he starts getting hit. Just do your thing, Blake. He does his thing. I'm not worried about him at all.
And it's all going to be how he navigates, that crowd also. They play a big factor, in all these teams that come into Philadelphia, and how they come out and pitch and hit. And, the crowd is a huge factor there, and if he can just totally tone them out and focus and throw his stuff and throw his game, I think we have I'm not going to, say we're going to take game 2, but we have a very high probability of coming out of there, taking 2 games out of Philadelphia and going into LA and winning 1 out of 2.
Yeah, and it is announced it is Luzardo. So the Dodgers did well against Luzardo before. They've had struggles with him in the past too. But yeah, I Dodger offense and Blake Snell versus Luzardo and their offense. The real advantage that we have the advantage in both of those. The advantages that they do have is back into the bullpen, probably. But you never know. I mean, Roki all of a sudden looked as good or better than what's his name there, Duran. And
Yeah, but is he going to come back and and close out 2 games back to back?
great question. But there is a day off in between, so that's one of those things where I go, well,
Yeah.
maybe they do.
Yeah.
But again, it's that uncharted territory, right? He hasn't done it before. This
Or
is
is he
his first major league save.
Well, it's his first save in his career.
Yeah, and he gets it in freaking NLDS.
And
Yeah.
people kept forgetting about that, but I'm hanging my hat on that day off on Sunday. But
too.
still, but Mike's 1,000% correct because that's going through my mind. Are we waiting for the clock to strike midnight, or is this who he truly is? And I guess we're all going to find out together.
Yeah.
I have all the faith in him. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes in the 8th inning and finishes the game off, the 8th and the 9th inning. That won't surprise me either. And it won't surprise me if they bring in Tanner Scott in the 8th inning, and bring in Sasaki or Triton, or I see Triton or Tanner Scott or maybe even Sheehan coming in on the 8th and right behind Snell.
I think so. Norm's talking about Luzardo's slider. At the end of the day, the Dodger offense does what they can do. And let's be honest, I don't, Luzardo, is he really pitched in any type of atmosphere like this? I don't think so. I know he's pitched before, like with the A's and all that. This is Philadelphia. This is where if he sucks, or just starts struggling, they might start booing him. Remember, they're the ones that boo Santa Claus,
That
right?
crowd will let him know.
Yeah, they'll let him know. So there's a little extra pressure there, I believe, for him that he might not. Who knows? He may go out and roll through the Dodgers, but I like our odds. I think we have the advantage with starting pitching. I think we have the advantage with offense, and we just got to make sure that offense does enough. So our weakness may not be as big a weakness as it was, but still, not trusting yet would be that bullpen. So score enough runs, it's not a problem. Having a 2-run lead versus 1, I'll take it. Like today.
Mm-hmm.
Just get those extra.
So thoughts on Tio in right field, that ugly head. That ugliness that reared his head again. It's now. I didn't see that part of the game. I was driving here, but I know that Steve Nelson, who doesn't mince any words, and neither does Rick Monday, but they said go back and look at it because they said that was not a hustle at all, and they were kind of getting on him a little bit for that.
Oh, it wasn't a hustle at all. I mean, he took a bad angle, on his approach, and then he just flat out gave up on the play.
Yeah.
And Andy Pages had to come, all the way from center field to grab the ball off the wall and throw it in, to Edman, and then Edman throws the ball way off, throwing it down to third base, which it could have scored another run, that was there. So yeah, what I saw, in my opinion, this is the playoffs, man. The ball's right there. If you can't really grab it, dive for the ball, at least stop it, get up and throw it in.
Yeah, because he could have blocked it with his body.
Yeah.
He could have just jumped on it like a freaking grenade.
Yeah.
You just don't let that ball go to the wall because, some would say it cost him 2 runs. At least he gave up at least 2 runs. It could have been less. It could have been maybe he gave up 1 run.
Had he at least knocked that ball down and got in front of it, he could have limited the damage.
Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
would have limited definitely.
It might have been one run that scored, maybe. Well, because there was a guy on second. That guy from second would have scored. Let's give it that. But then after that, you would have had first and second, or maybe first and third. So
I think it would have
maybe
been first and second.
maybe the sack fly happens and they still get another run. So maybe it's 2 runs instead of 3. But it definitely could have been just 1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but how
if
could you
freaking Ohtani
play
don't walk
left
a guy,
field
I don't know.
all last year and then stink the place up so bad this year in right?
He
I don't
wasn't
get
good
it.
in left either, though.
He wasn't that
Ju
good there
It's
either.
just
But not this bad.
it's magnified more in right field because the and I've said it, I've been saying it for months now. You know, I would have moved him back to left because if he makes a mistake in left, it's a double. If he makes a mistake in right, it's a triple. And what did we see today?
Mhm. Triple.
If that's to left center and he makes that mistake, I don't. It's such a longer throw. I don't think Real Muto would even try.
No.
But yeah,
Not throwing, not going, against Andy Pages and
yeah,
and the cannon that he's got for an arm.
because you could put right now in this lineup, you could put Teo in left, Call in center, and Pages in right. They could have done that.
Mhm.
Now they won't. They just won't. Which really they had plenty of opportunities to make the change. They didn't do it.
And this is, and think about it, this is 2 games in a row to where he's cost, a pitcher runs.
Yeah,
You know?
2 runs and 15 pitches for Yamamoto probably.
Yeah.
And that's the consequences. I mean, um a lot of people understand that if you don't, by clanking that ball, or just like as my wife said, hit him in the bad spot, right in the gloves.
Yeah.
Right.
All you're doing is adding more pitches to who's ever on the mound in a postseason situation, especially on the road, and even an additional 8, 9, 10 pitches. That changes everything. I mean, that just has a domino effect.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, then you got to use your bullpen a little bit earlier, and we don't want to be using our bullpen a little bit earlier.
No,
We wanna-
And
no.
changes the dynamic of the whole game because you now you just put, added pressure onto the offense to come out and score the next inning or the inning after that, just to keep the game close.
yeah,
And just the dugout, coming in there, the mood of that just changed.
yeah,
There. I mean, that was a turning point for Philadelphia right there. It's when they did that. They were cheering in the other, place, and the other dugout, heads were hanging, in the Dodgers dugout, and then it switched again, and that's the beautiful thing about sports, no matter what sport you're playing. It all depends on where the momentum, switches, it's going to help out one team or the other, or it doesn't switch at all, and they just get a blowout. So,
yeah.
yeah, T.O. just needs to, man up and start hustling around, man. I don't see what bugs me even, just as much is the laziness of running to first base by these guys. I mean, even Mookie Betts does this.
Playoffs, man.
I mean, you need to be running down there, you know, just look at Kike. In the last game. He hit that ball pretty hard, and he thought it was out, and he kind of just like did his thing, thought it was a dude that could have ended up a triple for him
I
instead of
know.
a double. If
These
he
guys
would,
You can't umpire. You just can't do that. I mean, if you put the bat on the ball, you drop the bat and you sprint to first.
yeah,
You remember this in high school? Okay, hard
I know.
90. Do any
Yeah.
of these guys remember what a hard 90 is? Don't
Well,
umpire. That's not your
well,
job.
it's so I mean, you hit the ball in the air, you start busting your butt, and you try to pick the ball up, and find out where it's at. But you're doing that while you're going balls out, or you're looking at your first base coach. I mean, that's what you're doing. You're going, do I round it or am I running through it? If you're hitting the ball in the air, you're almost always rounding it. So get your butt in gear and go because
Mhm.
that double should be a triple or that single should be a double. I mean, come on. This is these are the things that you shouldn't be doing.
Well,
Uh,
this is
care
the
how cool
point
you
of
are.
having youth on your team
Yeah.
that are out in the outfield that are hustling and running their butt off. Even though Pages isn't the greatest in center field, he's out there trying.
Yeah, he's just a knucklehead.
He's
I
out.
have never, other than him being, other than his IQ on the base pads being
2.
lower, lower than Manny Machado's personality. I just think that there's one thing that I will never accuse Andy of being, that every time there's a ball hit his way, he's on his horse.
Yeah.
I've never seen him dog. And that's the reason why I'm such an advocate to where, for the love of God, put the man in right field with that cannon.
I
You
know.
put him in right field, good luck trying to run. That gives every third base coach pause. I mean, that just his presence in right field is going to prevent a lot of runs, because any third base coach with any salt, he's going to be, do I send him? Do I send him? Do I send him? That knowing that he's got that bazooka out there in right field.
Absolutely.
Just look at Justin Dean. The last game against the Reds. The play that 9 times out of 10 that dude makes that play.
Right.
Right.
He makes that play. But look at the effort that he put out
Right.
to even go that far. And he's a young kid. I watched him play in Oklahoma all year long. That dude, he's a good center fielder. He's not elite. He's a good center fielder. He doesn't have that great of an arm. His bat's okay. It's on and off. So he's a little inconsistent, on the plate. But that guy goes out 100% every single game.
That guy's
I,
hungry.
I also think too that this was brought up, I think on D-Mac's show, that somebody that Doug McCann had brought up. He said that there were some people that said, how many center fielders even get to that ball in the first place to have even an opportunity to catch it? Not many.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Well, that's why they bring him. I mean, that's why he's on the roster. That's why he was in the game. That's why he's been in the game. And Teo's not, for good reason. You have to play that type of thing, and you just, man. But right field is just a terrible place for him. They should have. They had opportunities to make the changes, but they were also sitting on Conforto. I would have rather had Conforto in right than,
Yeah.
because despite the fact he's not very fast or anything like that, at least he's competent and would run out the ball. Not do that. Hey, I'm just going to kind of dog it a little bit here. Yeah, it's a little bit. It's just kind of a bummer.
But in my opinion, the front office, Dave Roberts, can't sit here and and get in front of the mic and tell every Dodger fan in here, that it's a different time right now. We're putting the best players in. Dude, if you're willing to do that, move Teoscar to left field and put Pages in right.
Well, and Norm says, but Edmund has to be healthy enough to play center field. No, I disagree, because you have a center fielder. Number
Alex Hall.
8 can
Yeah.
play center field.
Kike.
Yeah. So if Muncie's in the game, instead of having Kike, wasting him in left, you put him in center, Pages in right, Teo in left. That's what you do. These
Mhm.
are easy peasy things. That's what Doug and I talked about that over a month ago on our 1 a.m. phone call. I mean, we talked about that one. It's like, that's what you do. You got to get eight in there, because the Edmund thing, and I was saying, Doug was having Kike at second, but even back then, Edmund's been hurt all year. That ankle's been a problem all year. Why are you doing anything? He's still got an issue. So Tommy Tanks, just leave him at second. And if he's going to play, leave him there. If he's not going to play, you got Miggy Rowe. You can even use Hae-Sung Kim. But just to have a real, Kike is not a great center fielder, but give me a defense. That defense is a lot better than having what they have when Teo's in right, because Pages has made himself a better center fielder. He's been.
Mhm.
I've been, from the beginning of the season to now, I'm so impressed.
Yeah.
But as a right fielder, he is one of the best right fielders in baseball.
Yep.
I just don't. I don't, and again, if I knew anything about the Major League Baseball, I would have been working 12 hours on a Saturday. But I just don't understand why they just don't put him in right field, because he's a weapon. I
Yeah.
mean, He is you got you know, and again, here's the genius of Andrew Freeman. Okay, because you have the Miggy Rose of the world, because you have the Kiki Hernandez of the world, that gives you a luxury through his foresight to see the value in those guys because of the versatility. That gives you the most lethal roster in 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 all of the teams that are left. Pound for
Hmm.
pound, this roster, all put it up against anybody's who's still,
Hmm.
and even on the American League side, because again, you got the luxury of moving him over to right. And oh, by the way, I got two guys that can play 9,000 different positions on the field with just as much accuracy and also I mean just quality. Okay,
Yeah.
where where I can move my chess pieces around and that just makes me stronger.
Well,
And
it started though when they started remaking the roster in 2014 to 2015. And they got a guy like Kike Hernandez. And then they got a guy named Chris Taylor, who they turned into a center fielder, and he turned into a good center fielder real fast. And so you had those guys and then remember Bellinger. Bellinger was a great outfielder and a great first baseman.
AJ Pollock.
Well, but he was, I didn't like him in center, but he was he could play the outfield. He could play any outfield position.
Yeah.
You can do lots of things with it. Just so much flexibility, and they still maintain that. That's why some people are going, "Oh, Tommy Tanks is too big of a contract." I don't care because that guy played. He was our shortstop last year during the postseason game. He was the guy that was playing shortstop for most of the postseason. He can play second. He can play the outfield. I know he's hurt right now. You got Kike can play all over the place. Miggy Rowe can play second, short, and third, and probably first as good or better than anyone on the team. Kike can play almost anywhere. He's a really good third baseman. So you have that versatility. It buys you so much. I know they're trying to do without Hae-Sung Kim. But even the fact that Pajes can play center adds some flexibility to it, where you can go, hey, I can start this guy and have a better offense, but when it comes defense time, I can put Justin Dean out there. Now I got one of the best right fielders in baseball.
Mhm.
It's just it's that versatility that Richie was talking about. You can do lots of things with that versatility, especially when your roster's shorter.
Yep.
It's not like it was. So when we were all growing up, they would have a maximum of 10 pitchers, sometimes even 9. I remember the Dodgers rolling in the mid 70s with 9 pitchers, 4 guys in the bullpen, 5 starters. That was it.
that was it. That's all you got.
Yeah.
And everybody threw like 130.
Yeah, they
Right.
did.
I mean, if you went 100 innings, everybody looking at you like, "What? You have a bad day? They had to pull you out. You got tired."
Yeah. And so you'd have this huge bench. Now it's like, no, your bench is really tight now. You've got really 3 bench guys because your catcher really doesn't count. And then but in this one, we're carrying an extra catcher and we're carrying Justin Dean, but we're not carrying Conforto. So, I mean, it's a mixture of things that you do, but you notice Hae-Sung Kim's on the team over Conforto, despite the fact that Conforto has had postseason experience. It's been very good. But what does Hae-Sung Kim do? He can play second base. In emergency, he could play short. I don't want him there. I'd put Miggy Rowe if Mookie went down. And he
Mhm.
can play a little bit of outfield if you have to. You don't want to. Versus Conforto, well, he plays left field.
And you need speed on the base.
Absolutely. Yeah. Here comes the pinch runner. So here comes Hae-Sung Kim, who is really good at stealing bases too. Not
And
just
also, don't forget Dean. He's got good wheels too.
yeah. So if Justin Dean's going to be out there at first base, he's Dave Roberts in 2004. He's
Oh
running.
yeah,
They know it. He knows it. Everyone
yeah.
knows
The
it.
only thing missing on Dean's jersey is at number 30.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Hey,
Exactly.
hey, Mike. I got a question for you. So Oscar had brought up in the chat earlier in the show. And this is something that I'm an advocate for to a point, but he said advanced stats or just stats in general have a lot less the meaning in the postseason. True, I think, because everything that happened in the regular season, you can throw it out. They just asked the 24 Padres how they dominated the Dodgers in the regular season, but then but then after Game 5 that they were essentially
Mm-hmm.
all hopping on the plane to go to Cancun after. But so so having said that, actually, here's a question for both of you: the Dodgers go back to Dodger Stadium 2-0
If
if they go 2-0 in the series if this happens.
You go first, Mike. I got to ponder.
the offense hits and puts runs on the board, that's my whole thing. I'm not like a stats guy, or
Neither am I.
I'll look at things, and I don't base my opinion, on stats. I look at it as, coming from my old profession. I worked a lot with humans, to where, you know, if the guy next to me made a mistake, we were both probably dead,
Right.
So I needed to know my partner from the day I arrived at the station, and we were getting to, say our hello, and and talking with one another, and I can tell right off the bat if his head's in the game for our shift or not. So that's what I look at with these guys. Whose head's in the game, who's hot, who's not, who's going to struggle a little bit, who's going to have to pick up, a little bit more on the offensive side, the defensive side, whatever. What pitcher's going to have to come in. Um, I don't really look at the whole stats portion of things, to where it's just like going, oh well, Blake Snell, pitched this, against the Phillies last year. That was last year.
Yep.
When he came in here. This is completely different. But I think this whole series right now is going to depend on the offense, because the starting pitching's there. They have the ability to shut teams down pretty heavily. Um, I'm kind of like on the fence in regards to the bullpen. I'm a little worried about it, but I'm not as worried as I was, in the regular season. In my opinion, I'm more worried about the offense right now. And if they're going to come out there, produce runs, hit runners in, get a base hit, and not swing for the fences all the time, and just move the runner on there when it needs to happen, because runners need to be moved, in certain portions of this game. It's not a time to go up there and swing for the fences every single time. There's a guy on first base, move him to second.
Yeah.
That's your job. Move him to second. So that's my thing. If the Dodgers win, I hope that answers your questions a little bit. Dodgers, win game 2, they go into game 3 with momentum, and they have the high probability of sweeping the Phillies.
Yeah.
I
I'm gonna go with the MV3. If
yeah.
Betts, Otani, and Freeman. If they are normal, we're winning, because it is the offense, and that's you got to bullpen proof the game. And I'm not worried about Snell at all. This game will be completely opposite what I said, but they're
Right?
still going to win somehow.
Because when we had those 2 runners on and 2 outs and Kike was up, and again, I listened to the majority of this on the radio, was that, that Mo had pulled my thoughts right out of my head. And he just said, if we don't score here, we're dead. Because because the Phillies, because even though that Sanchez was dealing that slider and just made Otani look sick tonight, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You have to take every inch that they give you.
Mhm.
And I was thinking to myself, I mean, if this is a Kike October moment, this is it. Because I was convinced that if he didn't drive in those 2 runs, I thought game over. I thought, in my head, but we survived Otani going 0 for 4, and let's be honest, he just looked clueless at the plate tonight,
He looked
which
like
happens.
last year when Tanner Scott kept striking him out.
Oh yeah.
He looked like he looked that bad.
Yeah.
So So, so the key for me is that we battled back and we came up huge, and Teoscar, atoned for what happened earlier in the game, and he did that in game 2 against the Reds. But you can't always depend on that.
Mm-mm.
No.
And so just like what Mike was bringing up earlier in this conversation was that the key for me to answer my question, the Dodgers go back to Dodger Stadium 2-0 if that they drive in runs early. Okay, Snell does Snell things and holds them down, and then that Dave pushes the right buttons to get the final 6 to 9 outs. Then that's the key, because we're not always going to, because with Diaz parked in that bullpen, that's not always going to work out that way.
Duran.
So, and again, Otani can't go 0 for 4 like that. We just can't have it.
He won't.
So that's my thoughts going into game 2.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm confident. I'm feeling good about Otani having a better game. The pitching, and plus he gets a day to kind of flush it. He's gonna go sleep. He goes sleeps like for 11 hours or whatever he does. Just FYI. So Blake Snell. Oh gosh, that's right. He was really good against the Phillies.
Extra innings and Safeco.
Yeah, I see that with no stupid ghost runner too. So he went 7 innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, 12 strikeouts. So I would not be surprised if Blake Snell does something like that again.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what he is. He's just that type of guy. I think that I do think there's a chance. Not saying it's going to happen. Luzardo will have a will let it get to him, the moment get to him, because he just hasn't been there. He's got to prove it. Snell's never done that.
I don't disagree with that. I felt the same. I feel the same way, especially after the win tonight. I feel the exact same way. I think the Dodgers get to him.
I do too. I feel the same way. And to answer Norm's question about if the bullpen blows it again on Monday, so what's your panic? I mean, for me, because I'm Mr. Patience and I'm Mr. Rational, my head would explode. So Norm, to answer your question, I'd be at a 15. Just to be honest with you.
I'm gonna. I think I'm the only one in the chat in here that I'm less worried about the bullpen right now than I'm more worried about the offense.
I am
than
too.
I am over the bullpen.
Yeah, I am too. I have a very calm demeanor, knowing that the Dodgers have put a lot of thought into the bullpen going into the postseason, because they see what we see, but they know more than us three do. Okay. So these are things that have been talked at nauseum, in Andrew's office. And that's the reason why I'm happy to see that. I always felt that the Dodgers were too married to the analytics, and I point to the loss
Yes.
to the Padres in 22, how they pulled Anderson out of the game too early. I think that they pulled a lot of guys out too early because they had the script. And in 2024 was the first time that I felt that they used the analytics, because that always be a part of the game. But I also think Doc, was also managing to what he was seeing in front of him as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
he-
they were in to be honest, in 2022 and 2023, I just saw them managing the game like it was a regular season game. I mean, the Tyler Anderson thing, that was just silly. But then going, hey, we're just going to start bringing in guys, and then you find out for 2022, it's like, oh, we left Evan Phillipson to be our closer. It's like, what are you doing? When he was your best pitcher in 2022, and instead you brought in other guys who couldn't get anyone out. But no, there's a difference. Again, goes back to this thing. The season was a rehearsal. This is different. They did see what we saw. They have a lot more patience than us. That's why we saw it for 162 games. Now they're going to go and lock it in.
Yep.
Like everyone's kind of peering over to the game, watching the Mariners and Tigers. They're an extra.
it's almost
I'm
like
watching UFC right now.
Oh,
Yeah. It's almost like the regular season is just a glorified 162 Cactus League games. To be honest with you.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's hopefully it doesn't bite them, because I still look at it this way. If they're gonna be, it could line up that every series that they play in from this series to the rest of it will be where they don't have the home field advantage, because they don't, even though they beat the Blue Jays 2 out of 3, they don't have the home field advantage. And if you go, what if we just split with the frickin' Angels? Because they don't have the home field advantage against the Brewers. They will have it against Cubs because they have what's it called? They have the higher seed.
Mm-hmm.
But that's but so many of these games that were blown, and so that kind of going back, Norm, to what you were asking on that scale. I just don't want to see any games blown, because we're going back to, well, or I think I should go with Kershaw to build his legacy, or stupid
Right.
things like that. None of that.
Yeah. In 2019, I think that I mean, I still put more of that on Dave than I did.
100%.
Hey, Norm brings up a good point, Mike. He says it takes an hour for starters to warm up, basically relievers only to have a handful of minutes. The bullpen is a different beast than starting, absolutely 1,000%.
Mm-hmm.
So he's saying for him, Sheen is still a puzzle. Can he make
Mhm.
the adjustment? And I know that we're looking back at his performance, against Perez, and I mean, his body was just flying open, and
Yeah. Oh
yeah,
my
yeah, I mean, he just looked awful. So I think that's a great point from Norm in the chat.
God.
I
He's got to start. He's got to start warming up a half hour before, when they think they might use him.
I don't disagree with that, but in the minors, they do that a lot. You know, they can come out as a starter, and then you know, game 5 or game 6, they're going to come out in the relief position. So in some aspects, Sheen is kind of used to that already. I just think he let the moment get to him a little too much,
Yeah.
and then he just lost it. I think that he's going to learn from his last outing, and he's just going to come out and shove the next time.
And really, Richie, you're talking about, he was flying open. I mean,
Mhm.
he was missing
Yeah.
so far away, and it comes back to, and this is one of the things that's frustrated me ever since they started using Bobby Miller. Where is the mound visit? My goodness, if some
Oh
guy
God,
got,
I
you
cannot
got to
tell
get
you
out
how many
there.
times.
Because Sheehan, I think after the first batter, you can tell he doesn't have it. You got to give him. It's worth it. You got to go talk to him.
And that's the difference. And in my opinion, that is the difference of Dalton rushing behind the plate with Emmett Sheehan than Rortvedt. Rushing has been catching Sheehan
Mm.
for a long time. He knows him. He knows when he needs to go out and talk to him. He knows when he sees the smallest little thing that he's starting to struggle, he'll get up and get out there and talk to his pitcher.
And that's what
Yeah,
made
I
him
like that
needed.
because I don't know how many times um, that I'm watching the game at home, and then Dave has a tendency to where they just can't throw a strike from save their life and getting knocked around. I'm screaming at the TV along with my wife. Can we have like a mound visit here?
It's really easy.
I mean, they just let them die on the vine. I'm just like, God,
Yeah.
Mark Pryor, go out there. Will Smith, go out there, do something. I mean, just break the momentum. Just give him. I mean, even if there's nothing that you can tell him, but at least to go out there and give him a break and just say, "Hey, big guy, just take a deep breath."
Yeah. Or
Uh,
what are your
yeah,
dinner plans?
something,
Just
anything.
something. You gotta break. It's also, it's kind of the same vibe, right? You see a pitcher going out and he's trying to hit the same pitch over and over and over. No, you need to throw something different, because you got to break the pattern that you're in. The only way you break it is throwing a different pitch sometimes. It's just changing your brain, changing your mentality.
Mhm.
These are things that's just part of baseball, you know? But rushing also brings dead bat. His bat was getting better, but now I mean they don't right. I'm going to be honest, and I love Dalton. They don't trust Dalton at all, and I will be surprised if he plays at all.
He doesn't bring a dead bat. He's got a better batting average than Wart vet.
But even that,
Dalton's
he's
there for his bat, and so basically he's just there in case both guys go down. You got another.
I think
You know,
and he might get a pinch hit appearance here and there.
that's all
But
he's going to be there for. I mean,
yeah,
if he's behind the plate and starting the games, basically Will Smith's hand got amputated, and essentially aliens came down from Mars, and essentially they kidnapped the Benny R. If we
yeah,
see Russian starting behind the plate.
yeah. And I just don't think the pitchers. I don't think the Dodgers trust him in the postseason behind defensively. I just don't.
I don't disagree with that.
The pass balls are. It's not the pass balls. It's the wild pitches. A lot of those wild pitches Benny gets that Dalton doesn't. But I agree with you. You know, there's a comfort level. And hey, we saw it for years. Greg Maddux had his own catcher. Clayton Kershaw had his own catcher. Remember, AJ Ellis always caught him. Then it was Barnesy always catching him. That's so there's a comfort level with those things, and I think that's real. And maybe if let's say that Sheehan had to start a game because something went bad, that's the only way he probably starts a game if something goes bad, or maybe in a 7-game series. Maybe you start Dalton. Just to go but then when he's done, you put Benny Rowe or Will back in. I don't know how. I don't think we saw enough to see if his hand's okay. We'll know a lot more tomorrow or Monday to see how he's reacting. But a little nervous about that. I love Will Smith, but I just don't like trying to go, hey, this guy's broken, but we're going to keep playing him just because he's Will Smith.
You can't play people because of their last names on the back. You got to go with the hot hand, in my opinion. It's just like for me, I just think that going into game 2, we have all the momentum on our side, and I think Dave's got to manage that game like it's Game 7 of the World Series. I think because if you can come back to LA and be up 2-0, then you definitely can take advantage of home field advantage at that point. But but again, it's really going to depend on how well Snell throws. And to Mike's point earlier, it's really going to be. I really, really don't want to see them jump on the Phillies early, because if we can scratch out a few runs in the first 3-4 innings, and then
We'll route 'em.
basically, I mean, that's going to be the key for me. Otherwise, trying to play catch up at Citizens Bank Park, that it worked tonight. Great, great comeback. We're all slapping backs and kissing babies. But if you do that constantly in the postseason, day in and day out, especially against a team, like theirs, that's no way to live. You're asking for a lot of trouble.
It's rough, yeah.
I got to get off.
All right, yeah, we should. I still got to get 2,000 steps in.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you want 2,000 steps in, y'all be on Walnut, California on Monday doing Tropicana orange juice. I do commercial pest control, and essentially that is a 45,000 square foot facility.
Yes.
Yeah, come join me. You can help me out on Monday morning.
Yeah.
I got to earn my own paycheck, man.
Okay. Well, I'm no expert at this. This is my first, the time I'm doing a live stream.
Good job,
I
man.
know that I've, I host a live stream at the Man Cave, but I've never been in it, even though I was in it with you for that brief time.
Yeah, you were in it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when you and I did that deep dive in the 1977 team.
Yeah.
This was fun. This was fun.
Oh man,
I'm happy for the opportunity, and great talking to you, Mike. I hope I wasn't too much of a buzzkill. But
no. I'm happy you're here, brother. I'm happy you're here.
Hey, speaking of
the
buzz,
merrier.
the buzz towers. So how are we feeling about that?
It's
or the tower
growing.
buzzers, whatever it is. I like the logo.
It's growing. I'm going to call them the buzzers more than I am the tower buzzers. But it's
Okay.
growing on me. I love their uniforms. I love their logo. I'm just it's growing on me.
Okay. Oh, and by the way, when I gave you that question about for game one against the Reds, I was torn between either that wearing my Ron Safe throwback
Oh
or
yeah.
yeah. I wore the Ron Safe thumbback just
Good
to
for
let you know.
you.
I
Heck
was
yeah.
rocking that on the top deck on the
You
other
got to
night.
go old school, man.
Yeah. I went old
And
school.
if they do win on Monday, I'll probably show up on Wednesday because I like to be there for the clinch.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I hope to. You know what pisses me off though is they took away my victory chocolate chip cookie dough. That whole
Oh
bar,
yeah.
they took it away. It's gone. And getting a media pass, I don't have without a media pass, I won't have access to the site.
Yeah, we lost him.
You're muted.
Here we go.
You're muted.
There you go.
There
Yep.
you go.
Yeah, it just did a weird thing. It just did a barf on me, and at least I saw it this time. So, yeah, I guess we could watch. Hopefully, I hope this game goes to like 20 innings, man. It'd be great to
What's the
watch.
score now? Because I haven't been
2-2 top 2-2 top 11.
okay,
Wow.
2-2 top 11.
That's
Yeah.
Hey,
great.
ask me. Hey, actually, that you should have Mike ask me how I feel about the Ghost Runner during the regular season.
I know how you feel about the Ghost Runner.
Well, guys, this has
I
been
watched
fun.
Clint and I listened to
Yeah,
your
Well,
your
Clint's
phone
camping
calls.
this weekend. Yeah, Clint's camping this weekend.
Yeah.
So, and the last time he went camping, we swept the Padres at Dodger Stadium. So
There
maybe
you
he should go
go.
camping a lot more.
Yeah, there you
Exactly.
go. Yeah, stay camping, Clint. Keep winning some ball games. All right, folks. Thanks, gents, for both coming out. Appreciate you. I know it was a last minute thing. Thanks everyone for showing up. I know there's a ton of other shows out there, but we got a few viewers, and I appreciate you. I'm gonna let both you guys see if you guys can close the show correctly. So thanks everyone. As always, Mike
God bless.
Richie, what do I say?
God bless. And I forget the rest. I'm sorry. I didn't.
Go
And go
Dodgers.
Dodgers. Or we can do DMAC. Bleed blue. Okay. Was it go blue? The bleed blue, and I'm out. Or Clint. Bye.
I try not to steal from them, even though it's
Yeah.
tempting, man. Especially when .com.
Yeah, he doesn't do that anymore. Hey,
All
next
right,
time at
Ben.
the DeVore Man Cave, what do you say?
We'll see, man. We'll see. Lots of stuff going on. So I don't, I
I
got
know.
yeah. Let's just get some baseball wins. All right.
Yep.
I'm going to
Yep.
end this one for everyone. We'll still be on though. Talk